Hi, I'm Natalie, and welcome to part 4 of talking about Proverbs 22:6 and what it means to train up a child in the way he should go. In this video, we're going to talk about parenting through the years. Theologians say, for centuries, Christian parents have taught that virtue counteracts vice and that learning how to make good decisions replaces our habit of making bad decisions. This tried and true approach to overcoming the allure of poor decision-making can still work today. The habit of making good decisions, though, has to be deliberately built into our home life so our children have the tools they need to make wise decisions. Simply learning to share as a young child can become a pattern of selflessness that can last years into adulthood. It's also so important to remember how much softer children's hearts are when they really haven't been exposed to the evils and darkness of this world that will turn them away, or that Satan will use to pull them away from looking to God. It's so important to get that zeal to put that that date in their mouth so they taste the goodness while it's so fresh to them, and to really make it familiar so that when they're going through the hard times, they have the goodness of God to get them through, rather than turning all of these bad things and just blaming them on the Lord. I've heard a couple different ways to interpret this verse, like I said before, such as the individualized approach, which isn't the best translation, but it's really interesting to take a look at now in our very individualistic society. But also just now that we've studied childhood education more, I think it's really interesting to take note of. Train up a child in the way he should go, meaning that different children will need different types of instruction. For instance, strong-willed children will need different training than a submissive child. It can also be applied in learning styles. Some are visual, some are audible, some are hands-on and kinesthetic learners. This speaks to the individuality needed when parenting, which is definitely crucial, and that's nothing to diminish at all. But it's an interesting approach to this verse as well, in how do we teach our children about the Lord and His goodness and what He did and what Jesus gave up for us. To really get that to stick, it's going to be different with each kid, and while that's not necessarily what this verse initially meant, I think it's something definitely to pull from it and to use to approach parenting each child differently. My mom said again, I tried to expose both you and your brother to the Bible, the workings of the Lord, and good teaching at home, at school, and at church, with the hope that the foundational truth would shape your hearts, but I had to do it differently with each of you. I'm much less strong-willed than my brother. He's hard-headed, but I'm gentle. I'd listen to my mom the first time. I would trust her, I'd take her word, but my brother butt heads a lot because he was so hard-headed. And so it took different ways to help us to understand or relate to God's grace and goodness. So ultimately, we instruct from Eve in the beginning, teaching and showing our children how to live for the Lord, of the importance of God, Jesus, the Spirit, the cross, what He did for us, noting how each individual child is going to receive this information, how they process it and apply it differently. That's so important to consider when teaching our children about the Word. It's not just reading them all the same story in the same way, but presenting the story in a way that's more relatable or understandable to them and the way that they interpret things and read things and understand things.